The lights up bright, though Campbell Stadium is alive. Seminoles rise and fight to survive. Helmet gleam under that blazing sun. Florida State, where champions run. Seminole sideline 365. Feel the roar, we're coming alive. Garnet and gold in the battle we thrive. This is our house where legends arrive. Turf torn up under Seminole feet. The war chant pounds to the heart's own beat. Chop through the noise like a storm in the sky. 2025, we reach for the high. Seminole sideline 365.
Welcome back. to
Yeah,
Seminole Sideline.
baby! We got it, baby! Yeah! Look out! Let's pop it! Pew!
First win of the season, 31-17. Florida State takes down Alabama, number 8 Alabama out of the SEC. Huge win for Mike Norvell in this new rebuilt team, and
Wow.
got to be proud of the guys. This is the
Wow.
game you predicted, old man, that they would win.
I got it!
You
I got
right.
it!
I was wrong, and I was happy to be wrong. I said it would be competitive.
No,
but-
you weren't the only one wrong. You weren't
No,
the
and
only one
I said
wrong.
I would be happy to be wrong, and they proved me
The
wrong.
country was wrong.
Yep.
The Vegas odds were
Lee
wrong.
Corso wasn't wrong.
Lee Corso.
He
Lee
picked it.
Corso. He got Ohio State and Florida State.
He picked it. He picked it right. So
And this old man picked it right too.
you did. What a game. What a game.
Woohoo!
So this is our weekly. If you're first time with us, it's just our post game reaction. We're not going to go through every stat, everything. We'll do that on another show. But
Woo!
just a lot of initial reactions. Obviously,
Yeah.
this isn't the team of last year by what you can tell in the result there. A lot of the things I think we talked about in our preview show kind of came to fruition. I think this was a battle of trenches and a battle that Florida State was capable of winning. I think they held their own very well, both on the offensive. I think more on the offensive end than they did necessarily the defensive end, but I think on both sides, I think we've improved. I think we've improved on both sides of the trenches. I think our quarterback obviously has improved. Our offensive scheme has improved. The staff changes have made an immediate impact, which I think we both believe they would. We just weren't sure how long it would take to click, and I'm not saying it's clicked. I think there's a lot of work to do, but I think we they get down showing the stats, right? We averaged 15 points per game last year, and we had no explosion, and I think this offense tonight was all explosion.
250 yards rushing today.
Yeah,
And Castellanos probably had 100. Why are we on the Alabama site?
It's not the Alabama
Oh,
sites. What are you
it
talking
had
about?
the
Are you
way it-
drunk? What do you?
No, I mean, but if you look at the record
Okay,
thing, it
let's
was
just
like
focus
showing
here.
Alabama.
So offensive yards, 388 to 328. Florida State, I would say too.
Domination.
What they did is they played a very clean game.
Oh,
Alabama played very unexciting. They made some dumb plays on penalties. They didn't have the line domination like they used to. And I said those were typical of them last year. That's why they went 9-4, and it seems like they don't have those things this year. And Florida State took advantage of them. Like you said, I think this offense had a lot of explosion to it. Tommy Castellanos, he called a shot. He said, "What did he say?" He said Nick Saban isn't going to be here to save him this time.
He's not going to be here to save you.
They didn't shut him down. He called his shots this game, and he was able to do his thing. When he had to pass the ball, he was able to 9 for 14, 152 yards, and then running the ball, they really couldn't stop him. He ran for almost 5 yards per carry, 78 yards, and a touchdown. And he got the first downs when he needed to. And he did physically, as they were saying on the broadcast. He was running inside, outside. He was, and he was able to do it when they needed to. And I think Malzahn, once again, and I'll say it again, we said it on the previous show. Alabama on paper has more talent. You see the blue chip recruits and stuff like that, but it's preparation and development and game plan. And I think Florida State came in with a better game plan. And I think they developed a little bit more in the offseason, frankly, at certain positions like quarterback and running back and offensive line. that's the reason they won this game. I think they prepared and they game planned better for this game, and Alabama just couldn't execute, frankly. And I was impressed with our defense. I think our defense, I was so happy with some of the plays they made. Just the pursuit on some of these plays. Just, 4 or 5 guys being on the ball. They weren't perfect, but just the hustle on it.
Listen, here's my just reactions. Okay, I've got a ton of notes that later this week we'll go over. This was what I think was a almost perfect game for Florida State. It was a reminder of the year of the 13-0 where we played very well. This game was almost a perfect game, both offensively and defensively, and I have the notes to prove that. All right. Here's who won this game, and I give credit to Mike Norvell. However, I want to pay him respect and a great win for him, the team, all the coaches, all the staff. Here's who won this game: Tony White and Gus Malzahn. And there's another guy who I would give to let break the rock. It would be Herb Hand. I'd have a rock for coaches. Herb Hand and this offensive line. You can see how an offensive line, which even the announcers, Joe Testator and company and Palmer, said Florida State won in the trenches.
Absolutely.
And they absolutely did. This offensive line, the years of experience, won this game, in my opinion. Okay? Absolutely. They have a big hand in this, and we should not forget that right out of the book.
Correct.
Tony Castellanos had the game he stated he would have and they wanted to have, and he showed a lot of people this guy is a real player. He is an extra running back in the backfield, and he throws some pretty damn good passes as well. We used a stable of running backs.
Seven guys got touches in the backfield for the backfield.
All of them in a different situation. Whoever thought oh God!
Isaiah Holmes with the touchdown.
Touchdown when it was critical, we scored a touchdown.
That was his first touch of the game, and he handled it. He was prepared,
and he hammered it in. He hammered it in. We you know what? We played smart football. We didn't make a lot of penalties, and everybody contributed. This is one of the best complete games that I've seen coached and played by Florida State outside the 2013 season. And in some ways, it was, in a way, almost better than some of those victories in 2013, in my opinion.
No.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable game. And there was some key drives. We'll talk about those next week. But
we'll have the blocking grades. We'll have all those things.
Incredible. Incredible game. I'm excited for the team. And
who's your MVP of the game? Who's your offensive MVP and defensive MVP?
Okay, MVP for the game. Of course, quarterbacks get all of those, and I got to give it to Tommy Castellanos. Tommy Castellanos, he made.
Oh, we lost the old man, so he's going to give it to Tommy. For the offense, I think Tommy. Obviously, I don't think we win this game without him. We don't win it without Tommy. Second to him, I would say Micah Danzy. That guy, when he had in his hands, he made plays with it. I mean, that first touchdown, I think was on our first or second drive where, this is the guy we recruited. This is the guy we kept and developed, and his speed. And he's also, I didn't know he was that strong. He was breaking tackles on those end arounds and running up the sideline. That guy, I think, could be a major weapon this year. And I think it kind of slipped on the radar for me how explosive, or not explosive, I knew he was fast, but how much of an impact he could be for us this year. So for me,
hey, I'm sorry I got cut off there.
No worries. So you were saying Tommy Castellanos.
Tommy Castellanos gets the MVP. He probably had over 100-yard rushing, didn't he?
He had 78 yards.
Okay, 78 yards. Okay, yep. And then on defense, there were so many contributors on defense.
There
were so many. The Desir twins, one of them was in there. I mean, I thought the rotations the coaches made was outstanding. I'm just going to say the whole defense was really the MVP on the defensive side. That is the best we've seen them play outside of the 2013 team.
Yeah.
Just there's a night and day difference. I'm just so happy for all of them. Everybody on this team made a valuable contribution.
Yep. Looking at some of the defensive side, because I already said I agree with you, but I thought Michael Dancy played a hell of a game. I mean, Squirrel White. That's
now,
why you
Squirrel White kind of disappeared in the second half.
But he made the play when he was asked to make the play, and that's what I care about. That's what I mean. We weren't throwing the ball down the field deep. That was the one play we did it, and it worked, and he made the play. So I'm not going to say he disappeared. That was when his number was called, and he made the play.
He showed up. He
made the play, and he scored the touchdown. So that's why you brought him here for explosion like that down the field. So he played well. I was saying Dancy played well. Gavin Sawchuk, you brought him in to be kind of that low bruiser,
and he did his job.
And now on that final drive, when you need a touchdown to put the game away, and he's breaking tackles, he's bruising people. You got Pettibon behind him, punch. That's a signature drive. That's what you need to do to put teams away. If you want to beat the Clemsons, you want to beat Miami's, you need to put drives like that together to punch the ball in, running the ball, because that's how you beat burn clock. That's how you show team. That's how you dominate in the trenches. And that was I love that drive because that made me feel so much better about that game. Because I thought going to the fourth, leaving the third, I thought some of the momentum was shifting over to Alabama.
It was shifting into the fourth quarter. It was definitely shifting. The momentum was shifting after they scored.
And I wasn't feeling great because I was like, the offense had started to kind of sputter, and we were getting into 3 and outs, and the defense was having to come on the field very quickly back to back.
The muffed punt by Lucas.
But we held, to the defense, they held them. But then again, the offense didn't do anything after that, and it was the defense was constantly having to come on the field. I'm like, the Alabama offense, I was like, is going to come alive at some point. I was just waiting for something bad to happen. And then finally we put that drive together with Sawchuk and Castellanos with their legs and Dancy with another play. So, like I said, many people contributed to this. Jalen Lucas, Sawchuk, Danzy, Chroma had some good runs. You saw his strength in his 4.4 yards per carry. I think he's going to have a very good future with this football team. Rodell Williams on that 4th and 1 where he ran over Alabama's one of their better defensive tackles when he just plowed it for 1 yard and got that 4th and 1. That's going to be looked upon as the big play, one of the bigger plays of all this year. On your own, 35-yard line, you go for it for 4th and 1, and that's when the
good call by Mike Norvell. Good call by Mike Norvell.
Because I agreed with him. I was like, you're only up 7. But the momentum was all on Alabama's side. The offense had sputtered for the last 3-4 drives for Florida State, and Alabama had just scored. And you're like, we got to get something going. You call the 4th and 1 on your own 35, and you get it in a ballsy move, and it worked. And you go on, I believe, to score that same drive. So that was a hell of a call from Mike Norvell. I'm sure that'll be called out, and I got to give him credit because it worked. And what we talked about in the previous show, was that a Mike Norvell call? Was that a Gus
that's
Malzahn
a Mike
call?
Norvell. Yeah. That's a head coach call.
Yeah.
That's a critical head coach call.
But that's trusting your offensive line. That is trusting your offensive line.
You said it right there, KB. It shows the trust you have in that offensive line and Herb Hand and Gus Malzahn to get me 1 yard in the crucial games. Because when you're playing big time opponents, it's crucial. It's an easy call against Kent State. It's not an easy call against Alabama. If you fail, if something goes wrong there, you have turned the game fully and the momentum over to the opponent. So yes, it's definitely a head coach call. Yep.
On the defensive side, because I think we should talk about that just a little bit. My gut reaction there is that, like I said, I think it's going to take time for us to see the full potential of this defense, but they did enough today to win, and I think they did very well. I mean, you basically shut down Ryan Williams. He dropped a lot of balls, but
he got beat up today.
Yeah, I hope he's okay. I hope he's not injured.
Yeah, I hope he's a good player. He just got beat up.
He didn't have a great game, and some of that's on him, so a lot of that's on the coverage. Obviously, they're the other guy we talked about in the pregame show, Jeremy Bernard. He had a great game, 146 on 8 receptions, but you kept him out of the end zone. You didn't let him. You let him have some big plays, but not the explosive plays for touchdowns. That's the big deal. We said, let them keep it all in front of you and don't let them in the end bend, but don't break. And that's what Florida State did in this defense did well, is that they didn't break when it got towards the red zone. Not too many times did they break for that. So that was a key thing. You let one of the receivers go off, but you held that guy down. Everyone else kind of was a non-factor.
You know what I was impressed by? And again, this is a reaction show. I was impressed by the physicality
yes.
and the speed and the run to the ball of all the players. Yeah. There was nobody loafing. There was a good rotation by Tony White and the rest of his coaching staff on the defensive side. You saw a lot of players in the game. There was Absolutely. A lot of players in this game that they could trust to put out there, okay? And those guys were paying off. People were flying around. I think there were 3.5 sacks in it, 4 sacks.
I had 3 registered sacks, one to Jamonte Diggs, one to Stephon Thompson, and one to Daniel Haynes.
A wide variety of players. And when I saw one of the Desir twins flying around, this motivates a win like this. This motivates you to go into next week's practice, even though you're going to be against a lesser opponent.
Yeah.
You're motivated to up your game. And certainly this is the game that this new stadium renovation on Lee Corso's retirement, he picked both games. Now, I think he was a little sentimental maybe on the one on us, but he picked it. Everybody else on that crew didn't pick it, and they'll bring that up next week. Watch game day next week. That'll be brought up. Yep. So on that day, everything fell into place. The rain even stayed away for most of the game. Halftime came up and the rain went away. So I thought it was a damn near perfect game, except for that punt muff.
Yeah, that's you got to clean that up. I think there was a couple plays on special teams where he either should have picked it up to reduce the amount of negative yards that went on it, and then the muff there too. So
I think he hesitated. He waited for a fair catch. Then the ball was drifting on him, and then he went for it, and he should have just let it hit and get out of the way. If you're unsure as a returner, just get the hell out of the way. Let it go. Yeah, especially late in the game like that.
But back to the defense, they did such a solid job shutting down the run game and kind of making Alabama more one-dimensional. And we talked about that as being one of the keys to this game is shutting down the run game, which the 3-5 can be more susceptible to it. On that first drive, I got kind of worried. So it looked like they were going to be able to beat us up front and be able to run the ball.
Yeah. But it was troubling. It was troubling.
But after that, they changed something. The linebackers, they played better. The line, they got more aggressive, and they held. I mean, we held Alabama's 74 rushing yards, 2.6 yards per carry. That's super impressive. I don't care if they're starting running backs out. They got talent at running back across the board. That's not an excuse.
There's no excuse. Listen, for us, if we would have lost, I always say no excuses, no explanations. Alabama's going to approach it the same way.
Yeah.
They're not going to come out and start saying, well, we didn't have this guy. We didn't have our top defensive lineman. Fans can say that shit, but it doesn't matter. They've got a lot of 5- and 4-star guys. There's no reason. It's not a heat element. They didn't come down from Idaho. They came in from the South. So there's no hydration. Everybody had the same advantage. Florida State literally now kicked their ass. Now, I'm not saying that to Alabama is a storied program, much more than Florida State. But Florida State, literally, if there's any Alabama people in here, you tell me I'm wrong if you want to, kick their ass today, and they did it in the trenches, okay? They did it in the trenches, especially on offense, especially on the offensive line, and did enough on defensive line to keep that quarterback running around for his life, okay? Absolutely. I was impressed. Yeah. And we're pretty hard. We're pretty hard. I was impressed by this result.
Absolutely. No, I think everyone at Florida State has to be, with the results. And to continue on, some of the defensive guys I want to call out. I think Earl Little, we called him out. We said, this is his year. He's put in that rover spot. He's going to have to take leadership. He's going to have to make plays or everything shuts down. and early on, I think he set a great tone. He was
Yeah,
physical.
let me
He was playing hard hits. He was I thought he came out and set the tone for the defensive. Like,
right.
Let's do.
Yeah. Oh, he did. He was flying around and hitting people, and they did a great job in the 3 deep, basically 2 deep, 3 deep, to get nothing too much over their head. Okay. Yep. There were a couple guys running wild out there in the open, but overall, it couldn't have gone any better. Now, here's a comment I'm going to put up. I don't know if he must be a Bama fan, maybe. But let me address this. The refs didn't call 4 holding calls. You know what that is, Bobby? I don't know if you're an FSU fan or a Bama fan. But, Bobby, you can't use these excuses and explanations. We went through that shit last year, and it's unacceptable. And it's unacceptable. You're a fan. Alabama, the team is not going to use this as excuses. When you start blaming referees, and KB, how I say this to our fans even too.
That's why I hate focusing on it.
You can't. What I'm saying is, don't focus on shit like that. You didn't play well. You got your ass beat. That's the bottom line.
Yep. Other guys I want to call out. Justin Cryer, I thought, had a really good game at linebacker. You called that the Desir Mendrell this year. He had 3 solo tackles.
Did both of them play?
Only the other one I believe is hurt.
Okay.
But Mandrell played and he made some impact there. I think like you said, the entire defense had a DeMonte Diggs, you saw the transfer, had a big sack in the game. Stephon Thompson, another transfer, had a big sack. Like I said, I don't think it was perfect. Jermaine had a big game for Alabama. He's a really good receiver, obviously. I don't think Ty Simpson's one of the best quarterbacks we're going to face all year, just to be honest with you. I think we're going to have this defense is going to have to learn to finish plays. We're going to have to get the quarterback to the ground more. I think there's opportunities to sack the quarterback, on that last drive when he scrambled and luckily for us, the DB came up and Jarrell Rawls stuffed him right at the first down marker.
Yeah.
And held him a 4th down, which was a great, once again, physical hit by him to stop him there. But there's 3 guys that should have had him. I think we're going to have to get better at containing the quarterback, and they did better in the second and third quarter. In the first quarter, they lost a little contain. But that's one thing I think we got to get better at, is getting the quarterback on the ground. But they did have 3 sacks tonight, so I can't complain too much about that.
You're right. That one last time, yeah.
We're going to face better passers this season.
Well, this is his first start. That's what I'm saying.
So that's why you got to get the quarterback on the ground when you have the chance to, because other quarterbacks are going to make the throw if they have time. But overall, great game by this defense, and I think they'll improve as the season goes on, as they learn more nuances of this defense, as they get more used to the system. I think it'll get better, as will I believe the offense. I think the offense has a way to go for growth, but what we saw tonight was great. I think we just have to get more of that medium passing game going, so it's not all on a defense or running scheme. I think we get more of that medium passing game to do Span and guys like that in the tight ends. We got Randy Pittman involved a little bit, which is good for some of the third down conversions and second down conversions. But I think if we get some of that medium passing game with Tommy and some of those receivers, I think that'll make me feel even better about the motion of this offense. But overall, great game plan. Kudos to Norvell and all the staff and all the players for the effort they put in. Like you said, they ran to the ball. They hit hard. They didn't give up any of the big plays. They just played an all-around great game. Credit to the fans for coming out and showing out and making it loud, making Alabama use their timeouts. And, I give kudos to everyone involved. And this is a huge, like we said, this was just a legacy or career-saving game for Mike Norvell. He needed to have this just as well as Kalen DeBoer needed to have it for himself, because he's on the hot seat. Both coaches needed this win.
Absolutely.
Needed this win, and Mike
they
Norvell
did. Now, I thought, as I said in our show earlier this week, our pregame show, remember what I said? I said DeBoer. I think Alabama and Coach DeBoer, they're under more pressure than Florida State was. Remember me saying that?
Yeah.
Okay,
absolutely.
And I think they were, and I think as the game got rolling, they were down 24-7 at one point. They were down.
I think it's 24-17. Or 24-10. They're
No,
down
31-17. 31.
Yeah.
They started to feel that pressure even more.
Yeah.
Okay. And then their young quarterback who might be pretty damn good here in a year or so.
He may get better as the season goes on.
Yeah. I think the kid has talent. He shows talent to run around.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a tough guy to pull down.
Yeah.
And they had a tough night passing the ball. But here's what I thought. What my reaction is Gus Malzahn's offense really confused Alabama because I want to say trickery. It was the ball could go in many different directions.
Yep.
You could hand it off to a streaking Jalen Lucas. You could hand it off to Kumar. You could drop back, run it yourself. You could drop back, throw it downfield. And I think you're going to see some of our receivers really start to break open a little bit more too now.
Yeah.
I'd like to. I think Biscuit didn't have a great game. There were a couple of things.
Blocking.
He was blocking a lot. There was one play down the middle that I think Castellanos thought he was going to go one way. He didn't. It would have been a big play.
Yeah.
But I think that'll all get straightened out over the next 2 or 3 weeks. We've got two cream puffs, being honest, coming in. So you've got 3 weeks now to really. I'd give the guys off Monday. I'd give them off, and reward them for that or whatever. But I think they'll just stay on schedule. I think you'll stay on schedule.
Absolutely.
But what a great experience for the fan base, for the student body who rushed the field. They didn't take down a goalpost. That we don't need.
I haven't seen that yet. If they
no, I don't think so. There's like a $50,000 fine if that happens. So I would put the police dogs around that. No, well, I think we need to show that we're able to win games. So when we win a game, we don't have to tear down the damn goalpost. Look like you've been there before, as they say. So I think that I'm just so happy of how well these young men performed. The whole staff, the off-field guys, and the athletic trainers, everybody. It was a perfect win for everybody. Perfect win for everybody, and it's just amazing.
Absolutely. So no, I think I don't have much more to say. I mean, this is hopefully this is the start of something big for Florida State. Hopefully they continue this momentum. They continue this drive. This hunger. This doesn't satisfy them, right? It's game one of the season. You can't be satisfied. You want to continue with two. And that's somewhat the issue, right? Going into a cupcake next week is you don't want to lose that drive. You don't want to lose that momentum going into that. You want to continue to build for then UVA and Miami and Clemson and the big teams, and then Florida at the end. Because like we said, there are many winnable games on this season, and you just knocked off one of the 4 hardest ones, right? Those 4: Clemson, Miami,
the
Alabama,
key games.
and Florida. You
just got one.
Games.
That's
you just got one of them. So, but we got to still keep focused, developing, getting stronger. Backups got to keep it locked in because luckily there wasn't many injuries tonight. There was a couple guys banged up here and there. I'm sure we'll get some clarity.
Yeah, did you see somebody who limped off
There was. I'm trying to remember who it was. It was one of the defensive backs, I thought. But it looked like he may have come back. It didn't seem. I'm trying to remember who it was. But luckily, none of the offensive linemen got injured.
I didn't see. Yeah.
And no one had to be carted off. So hopefully everything is minor. And once again, we don't for anyone on the Alabama side, Ryan Williams and those guys. Hopefully those aren't major injuries for them. We don't want any player to get hurt. But luckily, Florida State gets out pretty unscathed in this game so far that it looks they can kind of go into the next 2 games, game plan it well, and then get ready for UVA in 3 weeks here. But overall, just kudos to them, kudos to the staff, and that's all I have to say right now.
I got just a quick comment that we only had the ball one time in the first quarter. Because that was after that drive you talked about by Alabama.
It was like they took an 8
minutes and 50-second drive that led to a touchdown and the point after. Okay. And I said to myself too, because we don't communicate during the game, you and I.
No.
I said to myself, holy shit. Okay. This is going to be a long game if that's allowed to happen. Yeah. You know what I mean? And because our defense, you couldn't do that. But then we turned right around, got the ball, right? Yep. We got the ball, and Squirrel White had a big catch. Squirrel, when they put up S. White, I saw on the back of his shirt, I said, who the hell is that? And then I said, oh, that's Squirrel. That's squirrel. And we put up 7 points. That was a 5-minute drive.
Yep.
I mean, there was only like 3 possessions. They had 2 and we had 1 in the first quarter. It was over, Yep. So, I know we'll have more to say next week. I couldn't be any happier for the team and the organization. They're going to have a big celebration. Can't wait to see that film come out of cigars and the rock breaking and we'll probably throw some of that up or whatever.
And just remember, never trust the experts because they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, flip that one up. That was 5 against 1.
Yeah.
5 against 1. And what a nice tribute. I will say ESPN, ABC, they did a nice tribute to Lee Corso. They did. I watched it all. I thought they did a nice job. I do think, what the hell was Kirk and his dog? What is this dog shit?
Let's not go into that right
Does the dog have to be out there all the time walking around? I would think these other guys behind his back say, what the hell is with it, the dog? So,
all right. Well,
and I love dogs. I try to encourage you to have your dog on.
Okay. Well,
but you keep refusing.
I'm like exploiting my dog for
yeah, I know.
Like Kirk Herbstreit. So yeah, I think we'll leave it at that. Great game. Really proud of the team. Continue to build. We'll have our longer, kind of post-game recap next week or on Sunday, whenever we do that. But we'll talk about probably with a preview of the next game since, we're playing FCS school. But yeah, excited now. You got to be excited for the team and what you see and how they'll grow. And I'll leave you guys with the Alabama fan reaction here.
Wow.
Because I think, unless you missed this, that about sums up the game for Alabama.
Quality. Yeah, that's a quality fan. That's the guy probably writing into us with the excuses. Oh, my grandmother could have run against our defense today. Really? Hey, listen, have a little bit more class. I don't care what team it is. If you lose the game, you should applaud the opponent and not make excuses about referees or we had so many players out. Because you know what? A quality team is never going to do that inside their locker room. Their coaching staff is never going to do that as well. You can't have your program surrounded by, the refs cheated. We've been there, and I hate that. I'm tired of fans. It is what it is. So, congratulations to the Florida State Seminoles on a huge victory for the program and for Mike Norvell and staff, and especially the players. Yeah. Tommy Castellanos is the real deal, okay? And these players now that have come in, they know now we can win, we can beat anybody, and when we hit the conference, you best watch out. And so when you turn us off tonight, turn on Clemson and let's see what they have against LSU. Then Sunday night, turn on the game to see what Miami has. Miami's ranked 10th in the country against Notre Dame. All right. And then we'll see we don't play North Carolina, but we'll see what they got on Monday night when they turn on against TCU. Some good ACC action. And if you've noticed all the big games this weekend, KB, they're all non-conference games. I don't care, but they're all non-conference games. So.
No. And the last thing is, we said you're hosting a ton of recruits, and I think you made a big impression of a brand new renovated stadium. So right impression, right players. You take a risk when you host a lot of players coming off a 2-10 season, but you got the right players on campus, and I think you made a great impression. Now you just gotta continue to recruit. So. Kudos to the staff, kudos to the players. Great game. We'll break it down in depth, see the player grades and offensive grades and defensive grades next week or on Sunday.
Yeah.
Stick with us, subscribe, like. We appreciate you guys. Big win for the Noles. 31-17 is your final.
Watch for our announcements when our next show's coming up. We'll probably have 2 shows next week, right?
Yeah. Excited for the rest of the season. Excited to see how this team grows, and we'll go from there. So stick with us, subscribe, like. We appreciate you guys. Have a great long weekend, and we will talk to you all soon.
Go watch some football.
Go Noles. Go Noles. Let's
go. Go Noles.
Feel the roar, we're coming alive. Every yard